Welcome back, students who are taking financial accounting, and in this one video we are going to work on the assigned homework problem for Chapter 7, the Chapter 7 appendix, Appendix 7A, for the exercise for Group B. All right, come on, go down, there we go. Note, accounting is about understanding the concepts and then applying that understanding to the situation at hand. If you get the application aspect wrong, that is one thing and is easily remedied by watching someone else work the problem. However, if you don't understand the concepts, that is a whole other thing. Watching a problem worked out will not help if you don't understand the underlying concepts. Go back and study the text material again and watch the theory videos. If you still don't understand the concepts, then either email or telephone an instructor to get help with that understanding. And just as if you had watched the short exercise problem, I had said that definitely go back and watch the theory videos to get an overall concept, an overall idea of the process of how petty cash works, because the short exercises, this exercise, and the problems are going to be the sort of like the practical application of it, and you need to know where you're at in that process. So I kind of like laid that out in the theory videos, even though I'm finding I have a tendency to cover a little bit of it here to keep it related, but it's easier to watch a theory video and see the whole overall concept first, and then you'll understand where you're at in the process while you're doing these problems. Okay. All right, so it says Elm Street Motors maintains a petty cash fund of $200. On December 31st, the fund holds $12 in cash and petty cash tickets. I'm not going to explain petty cash tickets. Watch the short exercise 7A-2 where I explain about petty cash tickets. For office supplies totaling $121 and delivery expenses of $55. Make the journal entry to replenish the petty cash fund. So on 12/31, we're replenishing the petty cash fund. All right. So we're going to write a check, and we write the check and make it out to cash. We're going to credit our cash account for 121 plus 55, which is 176. Let's see. Oh, back up here. Let me think about this. Okay, so there's 200. And the petty cash fund holds $12. So that's $188. So I'm going to replenish the petty cash for $188. Now notice what I did. I added up my receipts, and my receipts total 176. All right. Here's the petty cash box, and there should be 200 in it. Right now, there's $12 in cash plus $176 in receipts. Okay, that is equal to 176, 188. Okay, but it's supposed to have 200. So 200 less 188, so we're short 12 bucks. Okay, so don't just work with the numbers. You don't just go and say, okay, let me here I'm going to write, I added up my two receipts and that came out to $188. Okay, yeah, that's what you're going to have to write for check. Okay, but notice, and I was thinking ahead here, notice that I'm going to debit. Now I have to expense my my receipts, so I'm going to debit office supply expense. And if you go back and you watch the 7A-2, the short exercise 7A-2, the number 2 part of it is basically where we're expensing. And if you go and you watch this, and then you go and you watch that exercise, and now you watch this one, you'll better be able to see the difference between the two. So I'm going to debit my office supply expense, which is what we did in the other exercise, for 121, and I'm going to debit my delivery expense for 55. But if you just go and this is all you do, okay, which I know some students will only do this, well, guess what? Their debits don't equal their credits, all right? Because my debits here are 176, and my credits are 188. My debits don't equal my credits. But if you went and you just did the, you just followed along with what you did in problem 7A-2, and you just made this journal entry and you didn't think about it, your debits don't equal credits. And that's just fundamentally wrong, right? So you have to, see the entire overall concept, and that's what I did here. I had $200 in the box, I had $12 in cash, $176 in receipts is $188. I have to account for the shortage of $12 in some way, shape, or form. Okay, and because it's short, that means I have to add to my journal entry a debit to cash over / short for the $12 in order to make my debits equal my credits of $188. Okay, if all you did was just follow the procedure that followed along what you were doing in 7A-2 and think that's the way it works for each and every problem, then you're going to make mistakes. Okay, and because you're not thinking, you're just following by rote. Okay, you're copying, you're mimicking, and you're just going to make mistakes. Accounting is about understanding the concepts and applying it to the situation. Okay, and yes, you're building an exercise, you're building your knowledge, your concepts here. Okay, so learn from this little twist to what happens in your petty cash fund, because you may have more than one person, going in and out of that petty cash fund. Okay, and it is, or maybe you just made wrong change, and you ended up being short. All right, so how do you deal with that? All right, and this is just a further example of it. Okay, so then number 2 here says Elm Street Motors decided to increase the petty cash fund by 80. Prepare the journal entry. So on 12/31, we're going to credit our cash for $80, and we're going to debit the petty cash for $80. And you should be familiar with that if you watched the 7A-2 video. Okay? All right, so that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one for the problems. Okay? If you don't understand this, definitely rewatch this again. This idea, and I know it sounds like I'm harping a little bit, but oftentimes your petty cash will be short. If you did problem 7A-2, that is the simplistic level. Okay, but as your petty cash, you have a lot more transactions in it, you're going to have more of a tendency to have your petty cash to be over and short. Now I can, in this case here, we said it's a shortage, so we ended up debiting the cash. Now notice how I backed into the shortage of $12, and I know it's a debit because I have to have my debits equal my credits. But what if I had an overage? Okay, well, what if I was, $3 over? Okay, well, if I was $3 over, right, so we would forget about the shortage here and don't worry about the receipts, but I would end up crediting my cash over and short as an example for $3. Okay, so all I'm trying to point out here is if you did 7A-2, that's a simple one and everything worked out just nice and fine. But if you had a shortage, all of a sudden there's a wrinkle in the system. Okay, and how do you deal with that wrinkle? of having a shortage. Well, this was an example of the shortage. If I had an overage, well, instead I'm not going to debit cash over and short, I would credit cash over and short. Okay? All right, so that's it for this one. Again, watch the video again, go back and watch the theory video, and if you still don't understand something, feel free to contact an instructor.